All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Eryka T. Wellborn, and I'm so excited that you were able to join me for this evening's discussion around get paid your worth, stand out, and unlock your earning potential as a female engineer. I've been in anticipation of us having this session. I've been so excited about it because I understand that once we understand the worth and the value that we have and that we're already delivering, classes like that really help us bring these things to the forefront so that we get the recognition and we get the pay that we are looking and ultimately what we deserve. And so I'm excited about today's session, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to just start getting into it. Let's make sure this is on the right song. All right, so in the chat, if you don't mind, if you guys are able to see the screen okay, just let me know. If you're able to hear me okay, just let me know. And we're gonna take off here. All right, so as I said, welcome to tonight's call webinar around Get Paid Your Worth. And I just wanna make sure that you understand that you are in the right place. So you are in the right place if you know you want more and you deserve more, but often you minimize your work or your level of contribution to your organization. If that's you, you're in the right place. You are in the right place if you love what you do and you deliver exceptional value, but you lack the confidence to truly advocate for yourself, resulting in small pay increases. And you know you are in the right place if you are ready to get paid your worth, but you need a simple plan to negotiating for more that does not make you seem greedy, it doesn't make you seem aggressive, and it does not make you seem difficult. So if you were able to just recognize yourself in one of those three statements, I want you to just drop in the chat, it's me. So what I would like with this particular session is for it to definitely be interactive. There's going to be moments as we're going through this lesson that I'm going to ask you to just dialogue with me back and forth in the chat. And I just love the engagement. And I think it's going to really help us both as we go through this presentation to get the most out of this session. So if you saw that that was you in any of these three statements, just drop in the chat, it's me. And guess what? If you didn't see or you didn't recognize any of these statements and you couldn't relate to any of these statements, then just drop in the chat the reason why you're here. Because in a second here, I'm going to talk to you about intention and we're going to set one. So as I said earlier, my name is Eryka T. Wellborn, and I've been in the engineering industry now for nearly 23 years as a mechanical engineer, working in the oil and gas industry. And I've been in technical roles, I've been in technical leadership roles, but the role that I love the most is when I get to come into forums like this, and I really get to touch and really speak and support other female engineers in their journeys to really elevating in their careers and getting to the next level. So I've had the opportunity of writing books and becoming an Amazon best-selling author, being an international speaker, and traveling to places, as you see here on the screen, London and Dubai and India and parts of Africa and Canada, and really just getting an opportunity to pour into female leaders. And so now it's over 19,000 female leaders that I've been able to touch across the globe, whether in person, through my programs, through social media, and just really help increase their confidence and ultimately help them lead with their femininity, with their grace, as well as with presence. And so all of those things are super important. And these are the things that I'm most passionate about. And so I want to really just welcome you to this call and let you know that you're amongst a friend that, just like where you are, I've also been there, that it's a journey, but we're going to do this together. And I promise, if you stay to the end as we go through tonight's content, that I'm going to share some really big news with you, but also I'm going to give you something that's going to be most helpful for you as well on this journey. So before we really get kicked off and we get started, I'm going to ask you to do one thing for me. I want you to just take this next hour and a half and be very intentional about it. What does that mean? Well, one of the ways that you can be intentional about this hour and a half is putting your phone on silent, putting your notifications on silent, and really just committing this time to getting this information, experiencing this transformation, and experiencing what it feels like to really get armed with the information and the strategies to ask for more. So if you can do that for me, I'll be most appreciated. It's really good if you don't mind grabbing your pen and your pad, because we're really going to be sharing some jewels on tonight and some strategies that's going to really help you go to the next level. But before we get started with that, let me ask you something. And I really want you to think about this. What's your reason for being here? We really want to create an intention together on tonight. So if you can just write down, what is it that you fully expect? I fully expect, and tell me what that is. Right? Maybe you're just here to get information. Maybe, you're here to get all of the strategies and the tools. Maybe you just need one thing. Maybe you're just here because you really need a little bit of encouragement, or you really need to build your confidence. What is your intention on tonight? And I want you to really be focused on really getting and meeting that intention. So if we've done that, let's go ahead and get started. So here's a pop quiz. And I would love for you to put your response in the chat. So let me ask this question. How much less does a woman earn than a man on average in the United States? Is it A, 16%? Is it B, 36%? Or is it C, 41%? Are there any guesses? Okay, Shanice said 41%. C. Anyone else? Now, if you're looking at these numbers and you're thinking, well, Eryka, that's interesting. So 16% less that's basically 84 cents on a dollar. And if I make 36% less, then we're talking about 64 cents on a dollar. And if I make 41% less, then we're talking about 59 cents on a dollar. So if you can't necessarily figure out, which response it is, and I love that Shanice said C, so you're right about C, but if you said A and B, you're right as well. And let me explain. So when you look at women in totality across industries, it doesn't matter what industry that you're in, on average, women make 16% less than men. 16% less. But Black women make 36% less than men. And Native American women make 41% less than men. So not only are we in a disparity because of our gender, but then when you combine gender and ethnicity or race, then that disparity just widens. And so that for me was extremely eye-opening. Yes, insanity is absolutely what it is. But let's go a little bit further because I know that we are women that are in STEM, female engineers, scientists, mathematicians, designers, developers. Let's go a little bit further. And so when you look at the gender pay gap, when we're specifically drilling into engineering and computing, this is what it says. And I was able to go to SWE and a Society of Women Engineers and go into their research portal and pull out this data. And this data was provided by the US Census from 2021. So when you look at this particular chart, what you're seeing is that you're seeing median annual earnings and the gap between gender when it comes to engineering and computing occupations. So we actually get to see on the far left side that if you're a mechanical engineer, then your disparity is 95%. So you're only making 5% less than what a man is making. But if you're on the far right side of this diagram, and so as a civil engineer or as a bioengineer, biomedical engineer, then that's an 85% or 84%. So you're making even less. And so what this is basically saying to us is not only as women are we challenged when it comes to the gender pay gap, but even in this particular industry, engineering in the STEM industry, where salaries are typically higher, we still aren't making as much as men. And I didn't show, and I don't have the information here to show that there's even still a greater disparity when you start again sectioning it out by women of color. You'll start seeing those numbers and that disparity just kind of widen, and it gets bigger between what men make and then what women of color make. And so this is a challenge for us, right? So what do we do in this type of situation? It's a challenge for us. So let's do this. If you don't mind taking out a piece of paper. And what I want you to do is I want you to write down, what's your current salary? It's for your eyes only. You don't have to share it. But I want you to write it down. Okay? Got it? Now, I want you to add 16% to that. So take your current salary and add 16%. If you got to pull out your calculator really quickly and see what that number is, I want you to write that number down as well. So start with your current salary. Then I want you to add 16% to that. And what is that new number? And 16% because we just saw, in general, women make 16% less than what a man makes. Okay? So take that new salary and let's just for a moment, let's just vision something here. Because I believe in the power of vision, and I believe in the power of really feeling our emotions and going with that. So how would it feel if you could earn more? So look at that number and ask yourself this question. So put that number in here. How would it feel if you made $30,000 more? How would it feel if you made $20,000 more? right? And as you're thinking about it, on that paper, I want you to draw. What does the feeling look like? What does it look like if you had $30,000 more or you earn $30,000 more? What does that feel like? See, it's important for us to tap into these type of things because your mind doesn't know the difference between, whether we're doing a visioning exercise or whether we're actually doing something in person, like it's actually happening. Because it's all about that feeling. So what would it feel like if you can earn more? What could you do with an additional $30,000? I know for me, there's certainly things that I can do with that, right? And so I want us to start there. I want us to think about the very first pay increase we should probably seek out is just closing that gap, 16%. Or if you're going to an interview and you've just been offered, a salary, automatically just add 16% to it, right? So I want us to think about that. And I also want you to envision what it would feel like to really have that. So, what we're going to cover tonight, and my intention is for you to leave here today knowing these things, right? I need you to know what are the 5 barriers that are holding you back from asking for more and what you should believe instead. So, we're going to talk a lot about belief. We're going to talk about those barriers. We're going to name them, but we're going to also push through them. I want you to leave here knowing today that there is an easy path to getting paid your worth. And you can do that without overworking, and you can do that without compromising your character. And then I want you to leave here knowing today how to craft your compelling value proposition. And this is the thing that sets you apart. And not only sets you apart, but it builds credibility. And so I want to make sure that I teach you that tonight. Because the biggest thing when it comes to the gender pay gap is us understanding that we are the ones that are in the driving seat, that we can't sit on the side and just wait for someone to recognize us, but we have to position ourselves and arm ourselves with the right strategies and the tools, such that when we go in and we make the big ask, the only response is yes, right? The only response is yes. Because if we don't respond, if we don't arm ourselves with the right strategies and tools, then what happens is we continue to lag behind. And this is the danger when we begin to settle. We continue to lag behind in pay. And so when we're saving and we're investing and we're preparing for the later years in life, we get to the end of the rope and we've already left anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million on the table because we refuse to advocate for ourselves. We get in the mentality, in the thought of feeling that someone is going to do it for us. Somebody's going to do the right thing. Well, I say that you're the one who has to do the right thing, and that means advocating for yourself. So let me talk to you a little bit and tell you a little bit about my friend Carolyn. So Carolyn was actually, I started off as a client of hers, and then ultimately the roles reversed, and she became a client of mine. And she was working in a male-dominated industry, and she was comfortable, but she knew that she also wanted more. right? And she was thinking that, hey, maybe I'll leave corporate and go into, my entrepreneurial ventures. And that didn't necessarily work out for her. And so she decided to stay where she was. But she knew that she was putting in the work, she was putting in the time, and she wanted a next level, executive level type of position. And I'm going to read you what Carolyn says. She says, my base salary increased and I received a 25,000 a year incentive plan after negotiating with confidence. You see, I followed Eryka's plan and it worked exactly as she said. After leading a big audit like an expert and managing a significant workload, it was finally time for me to make my power move. I laid out all of my praises and hard work on the table, asked for what I wanted, and my manager willingly gave me more. And guess what? There's not a really big difference between you and Carolyn. All that changed for Carolyn was this. She had a simple plan. And then this is the big one. She had the belief that she deserved more, right? The belief. And guess what? I'm in full support that you also can have a simple plan and have the belief that you deserve more. And I know that you got this. Now, when I think about my journey, I want to just kind of share it really briefly, and then we can get into the content. I grew up in a very small town in Louisiana, and I love math and science. I didn't find out about engineering though until maybe I was in a senior in high school. It was a very rural area that I grew up in. But I excelled academically. I went into college. I was at the top of my class as a mechanical engineer, graduated at the top of the class, led the College of Engineering out for commencement services, and then I land in corporate America. And it was not like anything I had ever experienced before. And so I quickly went from being this very confident and vocal and articulate young lady into going into an environment that felt almost suffocating. It almost like I went into freeze mode. And instead of me being confident, and displaying that confidence, I was instead mislabeled as, incompetent. Like, wow, why is she here? Why did we hire her? Like all of these things, because I suffered from just not being confident. Like I got so in my head in the environment that I was in that it didn't allow me to fully step into my greatness. Like I was developing and I was developing, I was performing my work and I was delivering good work, but in that type of environment, it still wasn't enough. And it wasn't enough until I began to make a mental shift. I came of the belief that I deserved to be there, that the company it was a privilege for the company to even have hired me as an employee. And it was almost like literally not overnight, but it took me probably about a year. I went from being mislabeled in the organization to being one of the most well-respected individuals in the company. And it was because I took ownership of my career. I took ownership of where I wanted to go. And in the times where the company was performing layoffs, I instead get a promotion and a relocation to another state. And over the years, I've continued to be able to advocate for myself and to ask for more. I've been able to work and live in one state, but actually be supporting an organization in a totally different state because I've begun to ask for what I want. But I made sure that I took, the steps that we're going to talk about and the strategies that I'm going to talk about and share with you are the steps and the strategies that I took and the process that I took to really get to where I am. And I continue to ask, right? I'm continuously asking about the next promotion because typically with a promotion comes an increase. Now, some promotions I actually share with some of the ladies that I coach is that it's not always, a salary increase. It may be an opportunity for you to learn a new competency and to go into another role that then steps you up to even a greater opportunity. So it's because of my ability to, go from not being as confident to being more confident and really just believing in myself and knowing that there was not going to be anyone that was going to come and save me, that I had to be the one advocating and the one speaking up for myself. That's when things began to shift. So I'm sharing this only because I want to say the journey that I went on and the process that I learned was because of that journey. And that's what I want to share with you. And tonight is not about me, but it's about you. And it's about the breakthrough that you're going to experience from these same strategies. Okay, so if you're ready, just let me know that you guys are still here. If you don't mind, put it in the chat. Say, I'm ready. I'm ready. And then I'll get started. All right, Lisa, thank you. Lisa said, I'm ready. Excellent. Okay, so 3 easy strategies to get paid your worth. The first one is own it. The second one is define it. And the third one is showcase it. And so we're going to step through each one of these individually, and hopefully you really get what you need to make the transition on tonight. So strategy number 1 is own your worth. Master what's already yours. Now I'm gonna sit here for a second because when I started looking up the words own and worth, there were some things that stuck out to me. And that word own meant for you to possess it, for you to own it, for you to acknowledge it, right? So all of those words were indicative of it's something that you already had, but you needed to somehow build an awareness around it. Because in that, there was a breakthrough. Your ability to be aware of the fact that you already have it, right? And then that worth, that was all tied to a personal value and a moral value. And listen, what I know is the women that are on this call tonight, that we're women of value, right? It's inherent to who we are. And so let's talk about that. So let me ask you this question, if you don't mind responding. What's holding you back from earning more? Right? We did the exercise earlier where I said, write down your salary. Then I want you to add 16% to that. And how does that feel? Right? You did the feeling and the visioning around that. But let me ask the question, what's holding you back from earning more? Right? Is it your self-sabotaging behavior? Is it someone around you? Oh, I love this. I'm seeing in the chat, myself, confidence in my abilities. Yes. What else? Listen, if anything, you're going to understand tonight how to own your worth. Okay? You're going to understand that tonight. So what's holding you back? Go ahead and drop in the chat. Who else is brave enough And I'm speaking to the brave women tonight that are on the call. Who else is brave enough to put in the chat about what's holding you back from earning more? Oh, Shanice said imposter syndrome sometime. Yeah, absolutely. Right? Can I share with you what I've gathered just connecting with so many women across the globe? And let me tell you, we are no different. We may look different on the outside, but if you go to India or you have conversations with women in India or women in Dubai or women in Madagascar, what you're going to find is we all have the same challenges. We just live in different places. We might wear different clothing. We may look different on the outside, but ultimately there's some commonality there. So these are some of the things that I learned, right? Just connecting with so many women leaders. Why we don't ask for more. The first one is we're uncomfortable with money conversations. I got to take a deep breath on that one. Because listen, that has definitely been a barrier for me. I can hear men talking about, what they make, and they'll even talk about what their spouse make. And I can recall instances being like, why would you share that? Like, that's so personal. Like, nobody should know that. But it was because of my own story, right? I was uncomfortable myself having those money conversations. That person was free. It was just me, myself, having those challenges and those struggles. So, are you scared of having money conversations? Because one of the things that I learned is one way for us women to know, like what the market is doing is for us to ask. Ask our girlfriends, how much are you making? Ask if their company is giving bonuses this year. How much in bonus are you getting? Like, ask these questions, right? And who better to ask these questions to than those that you're in relationship already, those that you call friend, right? Perfect people. So one of the barriers is uncomfortable with money conversations. Is that anybody, or am I just the only one? The next one, and I'll have to raise my hand again on this one because this is also me. The reason why we don't ask for more is because it's unsafe to earn more money. Eryka, what do you mean by that? Somehow you have that story that if I make more money, then I have to give my money to this person, or I have to support this family member, or now I have to be the one to contribute the most in the family for this thing. It all, and a lot of time it deals with just the barriers and the challenges, and really just kind of the history, the financial history that's connected to your family, because we learn life through our families, right? Scientists say, or data says, that by age 7, like literally we've been conditioned by age 7, you know in terms of beliefs, disbeliefs by our family. So this one here, I learned through my family, because it was always whoever made the most money, you were responsible for giving everybody else money, right? And so if you're not careful, it creates that money mindset that is not safe. There's no safety in having a lot of money when the Bible tells me different, right? Number 3, is this resonating with anyone? Number three, one of the other barriers as to why we don't ask for more is we feel greedy and maybe even feel like, oh, if I ask for more, then I'm gonna seem like I'm not appreciative, right? The fourth one, you're afraid of what's required. Now, this one, you're welcome, Lisa. Lisa said, thank you for talking about family barriers. Absolutely. Like my money mindset has been something that I've had to work through for years and continuously because we experience those financial and those money blocks by things that have happened to us, right? Over time, you know. And it can be something as simple as you show up, and you're at the checkout counter and you're purchasing something and your card declines. It just created it just created a block for you. Or you go through a divorce and you have to give half of your money to your ex-spouse and you're thinking, well, this person didn't even work for it, right? All of these things create money blocks, right? Or you grew up and you had a parent that said money doesn't grow on trees, right? All of those things create money blocks. But also, this is another one. You're afraid of what's required. So if I earn more money, how do I need to show up now? How much more do I need to give? Right? How much more do I need to give? What's going to be required if I earn more? And then this one is the nice girl versus the smart woman. So the nice girl is the one who, she puts her head down, she works really, really hard, she stays late almost every day. She makes sure that, she doesn't bother anyone, she's all focused. It's all about, delivering the work. She doesn't really share what she's doing, but she's hoping and she's sitting there and she's hoping and she's praying, like, if I continue to do this, someone's gonna recognize me. Someone's gonna do the right thing and gonna say, hey, Miss Nice Girl, why don't you, take this 15% pay raise? Versus the smart woman. And I know I have smart women on the call tonight. See, what the smart woman is going to do, she's going to strategize. She knows the importance of delivering value. She knows exactly what she needs to do, who she needs to connect with, who she needs to share with, and she delivers. And when it's time to ask, she's going to ask for more. She's going to ask for everything that she needs, right? It might be more money. She might decide that she needs a little bit more vacation time this year or personal time this year. But she's thinking about what are the things that I need in my life that's going to support me in the season that I am in. And she asks if she's in an environment, because what I didn't share is at one point in my career, I worked in Montana. And Montana diverse is not much diversity, y'all. So it was less than 0.8%, right, of people that look like me or families that look like me that was in that area. And although, it was a great experience for me, there was opportunity for me. I got to meet a lot of people. It was an incredible business community there. It wasn't the best fit for my children. And so I was at the point where it was, I need you to relocate me, or I need you to find someone else to replace me because I can't stay. And what I ended up doing was negotiating what I needed in that season. So in that season, I needed to get my children out of the environment that we were in into a place where it was more diversity, where they felt connected. They felt like they belonged. And guess what? I was given that. Plus all of these other, like, okay, don't, you can work virtually. And this was before COVID hit, right? So that remote working wasn't something that was a thing in the corporation where I work. Not yet, right? So it's, hey, you can go and you can live there. We're gonna pay for your relocation. Make sure that you get a nice home. Make sure the home that you have here, gets sold. If you can't sell it, we're gonna buy it. Just give you the money for it. But we're gonna also make sure, like, hey, if you need to fly and come and support for certain meetings, like, we're gonna take care of all that. But you gotta know, as a smart woman, you gotta strategize and know what it is what you need in this season. And so if you're being the nice girl, I'm gonna say stop it. That's creating a barrier for you. And not only that, as I went through this list and I thought about all of the women that I've talked to and the women leaders that I talked to, it's that a lot of this is internal chatter, our inner gremlins, what we're thinking, the paradigm that we need to go through, the mindsets that we need to shake off, because for somehow we've attached ourselves to these things and it's become truth for us when in reality it really isn't. And I'm looking here at the chat. It says, or one who will be expected to produce more, considering that the initial reason why we were approached with the strategy is because we perceive our current compensation does not support what we contribute. Absolutely. So did you identify with any of these barriers? Are any of these things coming up for you? And if not, what's a barrier? Are there any other barriers as to why we won't ask for more? Right? This is the truth. Can I just take a few minutes and just really free you? This is the truth. And I really appreciate you guys being interactive, and yeah, yeah. Norris is saying current economy and the timing of the ask. Yeah, the timing has to definitely be right. Yeah. Let me free you real quick. I know we got all of the, we saw and I shared those barriers, and I asked you the question, like, what's really holding you back? But this is the truth. Did you know that you are inherently designed for more? Think about that. As a woman, and the essence of a woman, you have a womb, right? That womb is for multiplication, is for incubation, is for creating more. Your essence, your DNA as a woman craves more. So why are we settling? Why are we accepting that, oh, well, this is just what it is? Oh, well, the company says they don't have money. Oh, they said, we're only going to get this percent and we can't ask for more. Why are we settling when your DNA and inherently who you are as a woman is designed for more? And then here's another truth. Asking for more is your responsibility. Do you know that an organization or a corporation would rather retain an engineer, a woman in STEM, than to have to replace a woman in STEM or a female engineer? Organizations want to retain their incredibly, listen, they want us to stay. They rather us stay and grow than us go away, and then they have to go through the hiring process again, hoping that they get the right technical talent, hoping that they get the right leadership talent. The truth is, they rather pay you. But because you don't ask, no one is just stepping up, raising their hand and say, "Oh, here you go, Shanice. We see you can use a little bit more money, right? Up, here you go, Lisa. We see you can use a little bit more money." So the truth is this: we gotta be in the position to advocate for ourselves. It's our responsibility. Yes, we deserve it. But is that the only reason why we should get it? And you can probably answer that question. Do others believe just because you deserve it, you should get it? Absolutely not. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the pay gap that we have based on gender, and even based on gender and race. No, it's the fact that you have to advocate. It's not only about deserving it, y'all, but you got to take on the responsibility. Remember, this strategy was all about owning your worth, you possessing it. You said, okay, I'm going to acknowledge the fact that I do deliver value. And because I know I deliver value, Mr. Ma'am, yeah, I'll need a little bit more. Yeah. So you got to know that. We're still doing good. We're going to keep going. So you got to own your worth. We're having to own more than perhaps our female counterparts in Scandinavia, meaning our own worth. Absolutely. Where are you in Scandinavia? Where are you at? Where are you located? Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. You're right. Those stats are definitely different. And some of the stats they're actually showing some of the countries doing much better than the United States. So absolutely. Strategy number 2, if we're ready for that. Wow. So in Scandinavia, it's almost null. That's amazing. I think some countries are getting it. There's some that's getting the importance. Like, why is it important for women to feel valued in the workplace? Why is it important for women to feel equal and that there's equity there? Here's the second strategy: define your worth. Now, listen, if you don't get anything else out of the training tonight, this is the game changer. This strategy and that next one. So ultimately, all 3 strategies are preparing you for the big ask. Like, I'm not going to just go tell you, hey, yeah, just go and ask without getting you prepared, right? I want to arm you with what you need so that when you go to the ask and you're preparing for that and you're trying to understand what you should ask, you're confident about it. You got a belief that, hey, I can do this, right? So define your worth, connecting to the bottom line. So let me ask this question, and I would love to see your responses. What does your organization want to achieve, right? So in this strategy, we're going to be talking about, value. We're going to be talking about how you craft your compelling value proposition. And it starts here. So me asking the question, or if anyone comes up to you and asks you the question, what does your organization want to achieve? How many of you can share 1 or 2 things? And it's okay if you can, just put yes or no. Because ultimately I'm going to show you why knowing this is such a game changer for you. Okay? What does your organization want to achieve. Now, when we start talking about that, what we're talking about is what's your organization business objective? Now, we're not talking about goals, we're talking about objectives. So objective is something that is very specific. You're going to be able to measure it. So that's a key word, measurable, and it's an outcome. And because it's an outcome and is what's laid out for the organization, it means that everyone that's connected to the organization should be moving in the direction of achieving that outcome. Now, if you tell me, I don't even know what the business objectives are for the organization that I work for, then there's absolutely no way I would believe that you understand what the outcome is, right? I love it. Lisa says delivery of projects on budget and on schedule, right? So these are just some sample business objectives. I was able to pull these and I made sure they were really simple. So an objective is, like we see in here, decrease raw material costs by 10% by the end of the year. That's very specific. You can measure it, and you even know when you have to complete it by. This next one, invest in solar panels at a corporate headquarters to reduce building energy costs by 75%. Again, something extremely specific. We're investing in solar panels, and then ultimately we know what we're trying to, what amount of cost or percentage of cost we're trying to reduce. And then this third one, increase engagement across all social media platforms by 10% with a multi-platform ad campaign. Again, something that is specific, something that is measurable. This is important to you because if you understand what your organization's business objectives are, when you develop for the year the items and the things that you're going to work on and the goals you are going to achieve, it needs to first start with the outcome that the company is expecting, right? It needs to start there, because if the company is going in this direction, but you've decided that you're going to do work that's going to go in the opposite direction, then you can be viewed as someone who's not delivering value. Basically, you're being told by the organization, this is valuable to us. When you align your work goals with the business objective, you're positioning yourself to be seen as a person of value, because the things that you are going to be delivering are going to be directly connected to the outcome that your company is trying to get to. Okay? Is that clear? Now, this is where it gets really spicy. So what transformation do you deliver? This is now, so you went from understanding what the business objective was and getting very, very keen and clear on this is the outcome that we're trying to get at. Now we turn it to you and say, what transformation do you deliver? And I love this picture because you can see on the left, everything looks dead, it looks cracked. And on the right, you see rejuvenation, you see growth, you see green. So literally, when you go into a situation, you go into a role, you go into a project, what is the status of it when you get there, right? And then as you begin to work and deliver value and delivering and you're demonstrating behaviors that are things that the company values and they reward, what's the transformation that's happening, right? Did the environment go from being very stale to like now everybody's, excited and they're joyful and they want to, they want to connect, they want to have community where before they were working in silos? What transformation do you deliver? Because that's, when we start talking about transformation, that's going to lead us directly into the path of building what our value proposition is. So this is what transformation looks like, right? Because if we said a business objective had to be specific and it had to be measurable and it was an outcome, transformation looks like what's the process that you're taking, the organization on to get to that outcome, and what do those outcomes look like? How was it before compared to, were we spending too much money to now we cut costs by 50%? That's transformation, right? So this is just a few, like, this is what transformation looks like. And then this is where we begin to quantify, right? How many new businesses or clients that you bring on board? How much cost savings did you deliver in this particular project? How much efficiency was gained, right? It was now we're 75% more efficient because of this process improvement that I did that allowed folks to go from A to B. What new innovations or developments have you, or things have you created? What barriers did you remove for other people to make sure that you delivered your project on time? Safe operations, how did you improve quality? On-time deliveries, what gaps did you identify and close, and how much time did you do that? And what was the result of that, right? 100% utilization of personnel, increased production, reducing waste, again, process improvement, minimizing security threats, inspiring a digital growth mindset. We're in a digital transformation era, right? Elimination of rework. This is what transformation is. This is how you quantify what it is that you've done and how you're delivering value. So another word you can replace transformation with value. What value looks like, right? So what value are you delivering? Put that in the chat. Can you just tell me one thing in terms of value? What are you delivering to your organization? Because the things of value that you deliver, because number one, that's the language that your management and your leadership understands is value. Okay. And if you're helping them to deliver that, they definitely want to reward that. And the thing about it is, I know these are the things that we're doing, but are we aware of it? Have we defined it? Have we written it down? Are we keeping a diary of, our wins? What are the things that we're winning throughout the year? What are the things that we're winning on? Right? Are we keeping little diaries of that so that when it comes time for us to gather all of our supporting evidence and our supporting data, we have it where it's readily available, right? And so this is what you need to craft your winning value proposition. What business objective are you meeting, right? We talked about value, and value is measured in this case in terms of you meeting the need. What is the need of your organization? It's like if you were running a business, what's the need of your client, right? Your client is going to pay for you meeting their need, right? Your client is just not going to pay you to just go and work on something totally outside of the scope of what they said they actually needed. The second part of that winning value proposition is what transformation do you deliver? And the good thing about this is And if you're consistent about that transformation and that value that you're delivering, you're not only identifying your brand, you're building your brand, but you're helping to solidify that brand so that people see you as a person that does XYZ, right? Every time Lisa shows up, we're going to move from things being in chaos to now they're in order. We're going to get extremely efficient. It took me a week to do this. Lisa came in, she laid out some really easy strategies, and I was able to go from, it taking me a week to complete this task to now I can do it in 4 hours. What is that signature thing about you? Right? What's that transformation that it doesn't matter where you show up, but when you show up, that transformation is going to be delivered. Yeah, absolutely. That transformation is going to be delivered. Right? And then the third part, who needs to know about it? So we can understand what the business objectives are. And hey, that's value if we can meet that need. Then we can understand what transformation we're delivering. And we're creating our brand, and we're actually curating the brand too by constantly showing up and delivering this. And then the third part of that equation is, now who needs to know, right? Because you can't just deliver all of this value and not make sure that the right person needs to know. And I would definitely say, if there's a person who's a decision maker when it comes to you getting paid more, or you getting other opportunities, right? Are you getting additional benefits, and they're the decision maker, they need to know. Right? Because sometimes you can do all of these wonderful things, and the only people that know about them are the people that you worked in the group, and everybody's at the same level, right? Everybody has the same level of influence. No one has, greater influence, right? So that third one is communicate, communicate, and communicate. And it ultimately leads us to our third strategy. Right? So we talked about owning your worth. We talked about defining your worth and what that winning value proposition looks like. And now we're talking about showcase your worth. No longer the best kept secret. No longer the best kept secret. Right? We're going to confidently showcase our work, because this is the thing, visibility. If you want to know one of the most overlooked steps that's really key to you getting paid your worth, it's the visibility, right? Why go through the hassle of delivering all of this exceptional value, but nobody knows about it? You're doing yourself a disservice. Right? If you are preparing to go and to make that big ask, you got to make sure that you're being visible, that other people besides you and the few people that you're working with within the team, your peers, know about it. Who else up the ladder needs to know what you're doing? Because this is the importance of visibility. And I love this, right? I teach a lot around visibility strategies and how that's important to really increasing your profitability, right? It's not just about to say, like, how can you be profitable, right? Visibility is your marketing strategy. Just like, a company who has these awesome and these incredible services and products that ultimately get results for those who are clientele. It's like having that kind of business and having these amazing products and services, but, not having a strategy around it in terms of how do you, so that marketing strategy is really how do you let people know? How do you communicate? How do you, you've already demonstrated that you can do it, but how do you pull the curtain and, pull back the curtain and invite others to a front row seat of what it is that you're delivering, what it is that you're doing? That's what, visibility can do because it's your marketing strategy. Don't ever be in a role and do all of this incredible work and not have a marketing strategy, which is your visibility strategy to go along with that. That's key. We got to be visible. We got to get comfortable with talking to others and letting others know what we're doing. We got to even get comfortable with letting others know what are the challenges that we're having? What support do we need, right? People want to help, but sometimes we get into that frame of thinking that, if I don't work hard for this, if I don't figure this out by myself, then, it's really, I really don't see it as an achievement or as a win. The other thing as to why visibility is important, and this one is, I like this, it's an accountability tool for management, right? If you are someone who's delivering exceptional value and you are being visible with your management, you are calling them to the carpet and you're holding them accountable to say, okay, I'm meeting the business objectives. These are all of the things that I've delivered on. It's actionable, they're quantifiable, so there's a measure to them, and they're all directly related to the business outcome. Now, what are you going to do? So when you are visible, it becomes an accountability tool for management, right? And not just visible to your manager, you can be visible to another manager. And guess what happens? That manager is going to go and share with his peer. And that same manager might go and share with their next level up. And so visibility is an incredible thing. It's an incredible thing for us as women in male-dominated industries, right? Female engineers, women in STEM. And then this is the third thing as to why visibility is important, because it easily exposes the value you deliver. It's all about you being on showcase. I know sometimes we want to be modest, we want to be reserved. We can do all of these things and we can do it with grace. We can stay true to who we are. We don't have to compromise. We don't have to become someone else. We just because we shine doesn't mean that we dim the light on the next person. No, we're just taking the time to say, hey, these are the good things that are going on, right? These are the things that's moving us closer to the business objective that was laid out at the top of the year. So it just exposes the value that you deliver. And so here's just 3 visibility strategies, and these are really simple ones. The first one is share your wins with your peers, but also with management. Let folks know when you achieved something, when you completed something. I'm in this new organization and I'm working in a role as a reliability and a maintenance advisor. And we support over 50 facilities, like literally across the globe. And we're looking at things from a very holistic standpoint. So we're looking at, the enterprise of the organization. And, I was supporting, one arm of the company around the upstream operations. And, I was supporting this team. And, it's interesting when you go into, teams or you're coming in a team, especially as an advisor, that, you have no connection with this team. You're new to the business. You're new to these group of people. Building trust is something that's going to take you a long way. And it literally took me 3 to 4 months, maybe even longer, to build trust with this organization, where the leader finally tells me last week, the week before, like, hey, I want to invite you to be a part of this team. You can be the fifth man on the team. I feel like, you have the same vision as we have, and, we're going to all move towards the same direction. And I would love for you to be this person on the team, where, that's my goal, to partner and to be a trusted partner and a trusted advisor with the organizations that I support. But this is what I did. When I saw my manager, and just in conversation, it wasn't anything that was very formal. I started kind of laughing about it. And I said, I finally became a part of the team. And he says, tell me more. Right. And then I began to share, and he was like, oh, I'm so glad. Like, that particular team was a very hard team to crack. Right. So that was just a really simple win. But in the role that I'm in, these are the things that are being rewarded, because we're an organization that at the core of what we do is we're supposed to be building trust with partners and those organizations that we support. Now, another visibility strategy is when you get praise from someone, you supported someone, you helped them out, they had a really big challenge, that you had a knowledge and an expertise, that you came in and you gave them the support that they needed, and they take the time to send you an email to say, thank you for XYZ, and write all of this stuff up, right? That's really praising you. I want you to make sure that you take that. You can print it out and save it for yourself, but I want you to make sure that you forward that to your management. That's a great way of you, just being visible on what you're delivering, the value. And then if you're not having them, make sure that recurring conversations, you're having them with your manager, because it not only helps you to share like what's going on, the value that you're delivering, but it's also, again, keeping this manager accountable. Like, if you're having some trouble and some challenges and some barriers and you need support, then that's also your way of asking for support, by you sharing, this is what I have going on. These are the things, that I'm accomplishing. This is the value that I've been able to deliver. I'm kind of challenged and stuck in this area. Can you just brainstorm with me, right? So this is 3 really simple ways to just make sure that you are more visible. And I want to check in with you guys. Are there any visibility strategies that you have? What are some of the things that you do to make sure that you too are being visible and you're sharing what's going on and how things are going? Put that in the chat. Okay. So I'm going to keep on. So just to recap, so the 3 easy strategies to get paid your worth is: number 1, I want you to own your worth. You possess it. It's inherent to who you are. As a woman, your essence and your DNA was designed for more. You're a multiplier. You are an incubator. You are a creator. You are an innovator. You need to own that. And that's worth more. The second one is define your worth. I want you to start with, what's the outcome of the organization that you're supporting? And tie what you're delivering, tie that to the organization's bottom line. How are you helping them get closer to meeting that outcome and being more profitable, right? Being more lean. Whatever the outcome is, how are you helping your organization to get there? And then I want you to showcase your worth. So that was strategy number 3. Or you risk being the best kept secret. So I want to pause here. I want to pause really briefly to see if there are any questions before I just kind of share, I told you guys I had some big news, and then I also wanted to get a freebie to you as well. So before I share that, I want to see, are there any questions? This is your opportunity. I can tell you, I wish when I started my career, and even a great portion of my career, I had those individuals that I can just ask those questions to. And it would be a safe space that I can ask those questions and really get the support that I need. So let me ask this. Did you guys did any of what we covered tonight resonate with you? What are some of the things that you could take away from this conversation? If I were to ask you, what's one thing that you would take away from this conversation, what would it be? Okay.
Eryka, this is Nora.
One,
Can you hear me?
yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
I can't type. I can't type because I'm driving. So,
Okay.
but I think this was fantastic. I think my biggest takeaway here, two parts. One is, just connecting with the community. Yep. We're in very similar situations, I am sure, all of us, different backgrounds. But to me, just connecting, I saw the names of the ladies, and maybe in future sessions we might connect, a bit more. But that was a big takeaway for me, and I think how you presented everything, it empowers you.
Mm,
So to me, it gave me some more thoughts about how I need to more structurally, write these things down, where I
mm,
verbalize a lot of these things, but perhaps I'm not bringing out the best kept secrets. Um,
mm,
you know, you see, so laying it out the way that you explain it, I think will help me personally,
mm-hmm.
um, in the next efforts that I'm embarking in. So that
Awesome.
was a two part answer. But thank you very
Awesome.
much for putting this together. I love this. I love this.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that feedback. Is there anyone else? What are you taking away from this? What was the one thing that you got from this? And Nora, I love the fact that you said connect with community. Like right now, every time I go into spaces and I'm talking to the ladies, that's one of the recurring themes that always comes up, the need to connect with community and how it's so important for us to have that, that support of one another and that encouragement of one another. So community is something that is definitely needed in this moment. So I'm gonna go ahead, if no one else has questions, or still feel free to put in the chat if you have a takeaway. But I want you to know that it's your time. It's time for you to be seen, and it's time for you to be heard in this industry. And I know I said I was going to share with you guys, something, share some big news and really offer this, a big freebie for you as well. But just as Nora said, community. I want to present and just kind of share with you guys. I've just been excited about this, and it's really the launch of the Unforgettable Engineer community. And so this is something that I've been working on for the past year and a half, almost 2 years. And it basically came out of me, I've had this recurring dream over the years, and it's always been a dream where it's almost like this Moses type of effect, right? It was always droves of women, and I never could see the faces of the women, but it was always some insurmountable challenge that we had to come, whether it was, being in a burning building and we're at the top floor and everybody has to get down and everybody is hysterical and, in the moment, not knowing exactly what to do to it's all of us being in this huge field. And if you were to just kind of take a step back and look at it from the top, you could actually see that that field is a maze and we're kind of trapped and not knowing how to get out. Or we're walking, there's this passage of land and on either side is fire. And so if you just fall over, you may get burned. I've always had these recurring dreams of me just raising my hand and saying, hey, y'all, listen, just, be encouraged. Don't look down. Don't look over there. Just look straight forward. I'll help you walk out. And there's nothing special about me. But in these dreams, it was just, I always had the courage to raise my hand. And so I've been incubating this for about 2 years now, a year and a half, 2 years. And it's all around how do we bring women together? How do we create a space that's safe? It's online, it's virtually, so anyone can join it, but it's where we can come together as women and we can embrace our femininity and really gain the tools and the strategies that we need to attract the attention and the respect that we desire in this industry. Right. That word unforgettable, it was something that I was laying in my bed and I was just pondering on, like, what do I call this? Like, as I'm moving into this new phase in my life, this engineering, I fell back in love with engineering a few years ago. And then it's like, what do I call this? What do most women, female engineers want? And it's to be unforgettable. You want to be remembered for something of significance. You don't want to be a best kept secret. You want to leave a legacy. You want to be, you want to be seen. You want to be heard. You want people to, recognize you as that industry leader. All of these are things that we want as women in this industry. And so this is what I created. And I created on this tenet. So we have the unforgettable engineer framework. And it's 5 different tenets that build this framework. It's soul care. And that's really the importance of not just being concerned about, what do you need, like getting your hair and your nails and your makeup done, but how do you feel about things? Where are your emotions in this? How are you ensuring that you're taking care of that part of yourself as well, so that you show up in the workplace being your best self and in your life as well? Soft power mastery. This is all about reconnecting with your feminine values. And I talk about feminine values all the time, and that's the right side of the brain, where it's, those are the things that inherently you were designed this way, right? You have a love for community. You love to collaborate, right? You can juggle a lot of things. You're not just one single-minded or linear in what you do, but you can juggle some things. So how do we really activate our soft power so that we use it as a secret weapon and make sure that we show up in the workplace in a position of influence, and we're creating that lasting influence in the industry? Presence. What does presence look like for you? And that's so important. And it's the body language, it's the clothing, but it's also the confidence, it's also the mindset. How do you show up when, and command the attention and the respect that you deserve in the room, whatever room it is that you walk into? It's the branding. How do you develop a brand that's authentic to who you are and curate that brand? Because at the end of the day, we all want to be, and we want to, leave something of significance behind when we do leave this place. And then industry leadership. How do you develop the skills and the strategy and the strategy to lead while you're really carving out a path and you're leaving nuggets and you're leaving a blueprint for others to come and to follow behind you. So this is the unforgettable engineer. This is our framework. So if you don't mind, go to theunforgettableengineer.com, and actually I'll open it up as well and I'll share with you. Again, this is something that I've been so excited about. I've been waiting, I've been secretly working on this, waiting to release it, waiting for the right time to release it. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that now is the time for community. Now is the time for us as female engineers to stop waiting for others to recognize us. Stop waiting and really get on with what we need and create a space that we can share our successes, but we can also go into this same space and share, the things that aren't necessarily working out and get the empathy that we need, but also get the strategies that we need. And so this is where female engineers gain tools to attract the attention and respect that they deserve. Listen, you are meant to be influential, impactful, and to lead within the engineering industry. How would it feel if, for you to influence and for you to really inspire change in the industry, and all while doing it, embodying who you are as a woman? I've seen, statistic after statistic, and this is one that I've done quite a bit of research in, and it basically says that when most women get to the tenure like that, I'm 23 years, well, by the time they get to 20 years, having gone through 4 years of college, when you go back and you look, 70% of female engineers have left industry, right? So that's literally 7 out of 10 women leave the engineering industry altogether. By the time you go back and you look at the year mark of 20 years, something is not right. Something is happening that is causing us women to say, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. You're welcome. It's not worth it. But listen, because of that, this is one of the things that really just drove me into like, I gotta create a community where these women, before you say, hey, I'm throwing my hands up, I don't want to be an engineer anymore, I'm gonna go and, I'm gonna be a somebody that leads people on nature walks, right? Before you just decide to disappear from industry altogether, come into this space. So if you're ready to really lean in without overexerting yourself or overcommitting yourself, if you're ready to work smarter and be in alignment with who you are and honor your deepest desires in that, if you're ready to find your place in industry so that you are both seen and heard, yes, exhausted, hopeless are reasons, right? So that was where I was getting to. Thank you, Nora, for reminding me. One of the key things that I found is women leave the industry because it's a framework, the success framework has been designed by men and for men. So by the time they continue to move towards the top, they're exhausted, they're tired, right? They're frustrated. They don't see the value of continuing. Like, we're not making the traction that we feel like at that point we should be making, right? So it's finally time for you to be seen and heard. And I really want to share with you this community, right? This is something that we're going to be building together. This is where female engineers gather to really unlock their femininity and increase their impact and influence in engineering. So what are you going to get? What's included, right? There's a private community, right? It's not open for everybody. Like, we're going to have like-minded female engineers and women in STEM who are there to build meaningful connections, but also who's there to support one another and share ideas. There's videos and there's articles. So you're going to have access to exclusive content and resources that are all designed to really guide you through your career, but also through your life journey. And this is one of my favorites, the monthly learning sessions. So these are literally the sessions that we're going to go into every single month for an hour is going to be our group calls. We're going to delve into a topic, and then there's going to be time for question and answer. You get an opportunity to hear from others. You get an opportunity to kind of, understand what the responses are as well, and what are the strategies and what are those things that you can do as well. Actually, the very first learning session is going to be taking place on the third Wednesday of this month, and we're actually going to be continuing the conversation around getting paid your worth, whereas making sure we are lined out on those value propositions. And where do we go? How do we do the research to make sure that we understand what the baseline of our salary should be, and then we know what we're going to go then and ask for after that. And then it's also expert interviews. I'm going to be bringing in, I know some incredible women in different industries, going to be bringing those women in to really share their expertise around wellness and feminine leadership and all of those really good things. There's access to free training courses. Right now, we have 5 free training courses that are in the community, and 4 of those they're exclusive. So there's no one else that has access to these particular training courses. You can't go to my website and get those. Only one of them you can, but the other 4 you can't. And then there's in-person events, and you're going to have priority access to those in-person events, and that's where we get to play. Like, one of the things about reconnecting with your feminine values is you're using play, things that are fun for you, things that bring excitement, things that bring joy, getting with some of the other women in the community and laughing and having a good time. These are all of the things that help us unlock our femininity and increase our influence in industry. And so you can go to this page, you can read this page. I'll read this testimonial. This is from Cynthia. I actually was delivering a workshop really similar to this, and it really tied into femininity and the importance of stirring that up. And it says, "What an absolute pleasure and energy you brought to the event. I know I can recall from my earlier career, I would attempt to be my male counterparts. It was exhausting. Considering I am a high energy and my normal is being bubbly. So I was beyond excited that your talk focused on leading with femininity, which I have found I now readily embrace. Also realizing that showing up as my true self will allow me to focus on the task or the problem at hand, enabling me to become a better engineer and an applied scientist." So you can feel free to read through some of the other testimonials and words of encouragement there, but just know it's finally time. It's your moment. It's time for you to be seen. It's time for you to be heard. And it's time for you to be recognized in the engineering industry. Your voice is needed. You're needed. What you deliver, the value you bring is needed. And the good thing about it is you can do it in community. So again, you can go to theunforgettableengineer.com. Remember, these are the things, just to recap, what's going to be included. There's a private community of female engineers. You have access to exclusive content, videos, and articles. And we're building this community. As we go, we're building this community. There's learning sessions. There's, the first one is scheduled the third week on third week Wednesday. And we're going to be talking more again about getting paid your worth and really putting pen to paper and making these strategies and getting this stuff together. You're going to be learning from leading professionals during some of our expert interviews. You're going to have that priority access to live events. And then you're going to get access to free trainings and courses. And again, many of which are exclusive to this community. And so you're asked the question, okay, Eryka, membership, how much does this cost? Well, let's start with the value. When you think about what you get, and how important it is for you to be in community and to be able to, to have the resources where you can go in at any time and you can ask a question and you have the support of everyone in that community to give you a response, in addition to myself and some of my other friends who are going to be within the community as founding members as well. That's priceless. But for today, I'm gonna let you know I'm actually offering really a free trial into the community. It's gonna be for 7 days. So for 7 days, once the community opens, which we're gonna officially have it open and live on Monday, you can go now and and sign up. That membership, that free trial it won't be activated until we open up that community publicly to everyone on Monday. But it's going to be for 7 days. You get to trial it out. You get to, get in there. There's some training courses that's in there now. You get to kind of play around with those, everything from there's one around imposter syndrome. There's one where we're talking about how confident women lead and resilience. And there's another one on resilience. There's one on what's the leadership blueprint for female engineers. Those things are in the community already. And you can start connecting with some of the other women, as we're starting to build this community. And once that free 7-day trial is over, then the monthly fee is actually $127 a month. And so if you're ready to get started, you're very much interested, you say, Eryka, I want to be in community. Eryka, I want to be seen. I want to be heard. I want the opportunity to have the support, have the tools, and have the resources that's going to help me elevate in my career as a female engineer. Then you definitely want to go and you want to sign up. And so again, the website, theunforgettablengineer.com. You go, it's going to say, pick your plan. You pick that plan. It's going to be free for 7 days. It's going to ask you to create a profile, and it's going to say you're waiting for approval. Basically, literally what it's saying is once, Monday comes at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, we're going to open that membership up, and then you'll be able to get into the community and start accessing the resources that are in there. Now, if you still have more questions, feel free to ask those questions now, or just send those questions to me at info@erykatjohnson.com. I'm gonna check the chat one more time to see if there's anything that's there. Thank you, Dr. Crivera. If there's nothing else, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your attentiveness. I hope that you got what you need to really help you. You're so welcome, Shanice, to really help you get paid your worth. It's time for you to stand out. It's time for you to increase your earning potential. It's time for you to be equipped with the tools and the resources that you need to get there. And I invite you into this very special community, the Unforgettable Engineer. So until next time, thank you so much, ladies, for tuning in. Thank you and bye-bye.